Well, if you had one final wish that could be granted, what would it be? For a Centerville Reds fan, it was to get up close and personal with his favorite player, Joey Votto. The Reds granted that wish, but as James Ryder found out, what happened after could have never been predicted.
In June, Jeff Cruz was diagnosed with a terminal form of cancer. Shortly after learning of the diagnosis, two family friends reached out to Joey Votto to see if there was anything he might be able to do for Jeff.
I guess they probably thought he'd send us a letter or something, and he came back and said, here's 4 field passes and 4 tickets, and it's just, we were floored.
A couple weeks later came the day the family went to the Reds game, and it started by getting to watch batting practice.
Followed him out of the visitors' dugout onto the field, and that's something that'll stick with me. Took a lot of time to just stand back and watch him.
It wasn't long after that Votto came up and talked to the family.
We all stood around and tried to think of something significant to say, and it was just, you were starstruck.
All except for Jeff, who also received another gift from the Reds' all-star first baseman.
I just knew he wouldn't be intimidated by him, and he would appreciate any time that Joey cleared up for him, and then when Joey was so great.
Watching him hold the autographed Votto bat like a little baby, his jaw dropping and then him lifting his jaw back up, that was really funny.
The next day, the family noticed inscribed on the bat was the day it was made, June 12th.
June 12th is when the doctor told, when we got the diagnosis, that he had 4 to 6 weeks to live. And that was the day the bat was made in Louisville. And it was just, we didn't need another sign that God was involved, but in case we did, there was the 1 millionth sign that God just was in control.
Then it was time for the game. And through 6 innings, Homer Bailey was perfect.
I wasn't quite sure how sharp he was, and I said, Dad, there's kind of something going on in the game, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I just wanted to make sure that you knew. And he's like, yeah, I know. Okay, let's not talk about it. And that was just, I'll always remember that because he just was right there and totally knew what was going on, totally loved it.
Jeff and his wife Colleen were in attendance for Homer Bailey's first no-hitter, and then the pitcher finished it off for his second no-no. This one for the whole Cruz family.
The biggest celebration I could ever imagine in my whole life. Everybody was cheering, and it was overwhelming, and it was just, it was amazing. It was awesome.
But this was a trip that almost didn't happen.
If we'd gone the day before, there was a rain out, and the day after, his health was failing just that fast, it wouldn't have worked.
2 days later, Jeff passed away.
I can't think of a scenario that would be a more fun game to ever go to again in my entire life.
Yeah, it was perfect. Well, it was a no-hitter, but it was perfect.
A perfect end to a great life.
I know this is a story about baseball and how he saw 2 no-hitters and how he died 2 days later, but I don't want it to get lost in the mix that he was just the greatest guy.
In Centerville, James Ryder.
Well, thank you, James. Jeff saw both of Homer's no-hitters, as James said, and he had hoped to meet Homer that night and give him a spare ticket from his first no-no. But because Homer was pitching, they did not meet. But the Cruz family hopes to still give Homer that ticket because it's what their dad had wanted.